Football Tribe UG channel. Actually, it's a good evening. Welcome back to the Football Tribe UG channel. Robert Kesakos is your usual suspect. Welcome back to yet another live broadcast on your favorite football updates channel. It's a pleasure to be back on this Monday evening, about 10 minutes to the hour of 5 p.m. It's beautiful, bright, very sunny down in Kampala. So allow me have our audience tested before we get started with this evening's conversation that is going to revolve around major updates from the world of transfers, because a lot of news is making the rounds. Manchester United seems to have pulled out in their pursuit. Apologies. Hi LFC, good to have you back. Where have you been lately? What happened? I missed you guys. I do not know. For some reason, all usual suspects went and disappeared at around the same time. What's happening? Are you excited about Alexander Isak? Do you expect Mark Gehi to come through? Yeah, you did miss those for a couple of days, but it's all good. It's always better to have you back. I understand for most people, it's either school or work or something in between there, so it's quite understandable. But whenever and wherever you can make the time to join us, we do always appreciate it. So do let me know, what have you made of Liverpool's signing of Alexander Isak? I know that deal is getting over the line. Player is undergoing his medicals. Do you think Mark Gehi will get over the line? Because as it stands, Crystal Palace want to first guarantee that they secure a replacement before they can sanction that move. But Liverpool are very intentional on getting that deal done as well, to sign him from Crystal Palace in a deal worth about £35 million. So will we get Gehi tonight? I mean, there's a high possibility that Liverpool seal that deal, but because it's not yet agreed or it's yet to be approved, that's why Liverpool are telling Joe Gomez that they won't be sanctioning his move to AC Milan. So Joe Gomez's move to AC Milan is dependent on Liverpool's ability to sign Mark Gehi in this transfer window. Yesterday, Oliver Glasner was speaking about that, the potential outgoing of the Crystal Palace captain in the aftermath of their 3-0 victory against Aston Villa, and he did say that they need to find a replacement. Without that, he does not see a way out for the 25-year-old England centre-back. And I mean, it's quite understandable because it's late in the window. We know the transfer window officially closes tonight at 9 p.m. East African time and at 7 p.m. UK time. So that's the difference. So for those friends in Africa, it's 9 p.m. While for UK people, it will be 7 p.m. when the transfer window officially closes. But you say you're really excited about Alexander Isak. I think all Newcastle fans will be excited about the possibility of getting a deal done for Alexander Isak. You do get yourselves a very capable striker, one that is proven, one that needs no time, trying to adapt and anything within that realm. So it's a very decent signing that Liverpool do get themselves for. I mean, the way Liverpool have worked this deal, I mean, is anything other than impressive, because I think they've done the waiting game really well in pursuit of Alexander Isak. They've done that well. They knew that maybe eventually they would get their man. They had assurances on the player side that it was either Liverpool or nothing at all. Newcastle, of course, you could say, came to the business of it and a bit of player power in this particular case, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Liverpool get their man in another record transfer deal for the Premier League, because that deal is worth a total of £130 million. At the most, he becomes officially the most expensive player in as far as Premier League history is concerned. You look at that and say, wow, because remember, Liverpool broke their own transfer record by signing Florian Wirtz from Bayer Leverkusen in a deal worth £100 million. That's guaranteed. Then plus another £16.5 million, in expected add-ons. Not to mention, there is a reported fee of about £8 million that went in as agent fees. So, because his Florian parents are his agents, so that went to those. Apparently, of course, some sources may try to quote other figures. It's not to say those figures are not right. Usually, when it comes to agent fees in those kinds of deals, you sort of get mixed figures. But at least what we cannot ignore is that there is a very significant sum that was spent on agent fees. So when you look at the total package, and I remember we were discussing this deal at some point when it got over the line. And I remember reporting it was a total of 150 million euros. And, most people disagreed, but because I think more our disagreement was on the guaranteed fees and the add-ons there. But, with agent fees being factored in, you do expect that deal to be very, very expensive. It's not different with Alexander Isak, because while Liverpool initially earlier on, that was around July, they did make a bid worth £110 million, which Newcastle quickly turned down. That was to be expected, really. So yesterday, Liverpool went back in with a bid of £120 million. Newcastle declined that. They had negotiations. Newcastle were demanding for £150 million. And eventually they reached a compromise of £125 million plus £5 million to be in expected add-ons on what they've termed as a solidarity fee, according to the Athletic's David Ornstein. Whatever that means, solidarity fee, it's a term that does not come very common in the world of football. You get yourself a player who turns 26 years this month, quite very capable, 23 goals in the Premier League last season, 6 assists, giving him a total tally of about 29 goals. And the season prior to that was the 2023-2024 campaign. He did score 21 goals, provided 2 assists, giving him a goal involvement of 23. That is contrary, by to the earlier 3 assists I had mentioned in the morning, to give him a 24 goal involvement. But anyways, in his debut campaign, we know it was a bit of underwhelming, 22 appearances, 10 goals and 1 assist, but he's gone on to improve season after season. Liverpool's hope will be only as simple as having the player fully fit for the majority of time, and then he will be able to deliver. I have zero doubts whatsoever that he will be able to deliver, or that he is capable of delivering for this Liverpool side. What would you expect in the other than that? Because if you're spending that kind of money on a player, he had better be the sure deal. He had better be the real deal. Is it enough for Liverpool? I certainly do not think so. It gives Liverpool more attacking prowess, more attacking power, but for as long as they remain without another addition for a defender, I think they're going to be very vulnerable in one way or the other. I know we saw over the weekend Dominic Szoboszlai had to be played at right back. While he was very, very effective at it, on another day it may come at a different cost. He was very active. He was very athletic in that right back role. Although we know him to be an attacking midfielder / a number 8, that's the Hungarian captain. On another day, it could be different. We saw Ibrahim Konate limp off the pitch, and he had to be substituted by Joe Gomez, who we also know is not a very reliable figure when it comes to availability, because too often he does tend to suffer a couple of injuries here and there. So when you do factor in all those, you may have, just imagine on a given day when Liverpool have to start a game with Wataru Endo playing alongside Virgil van Dijk, in that defense, while Virgil van Dijk is still a Rolls Royce of a defender. He still got it. If anything, yesterday showed us, and the game against Newcastle, that he's still very, very capable of playing at the very, very highest level and at the very highest tempo. But again, usually such defenders are as good as their partners. Once they have partners that are not good enough, sometimes certain moments are to slip through the cracks. And pairing him alongside Wataru Endo as a makeshift central midfielder turned defender, may come a bit costly on a given day, depending on how scenes may transpire. Because while injuries are a very, very unfortunate occurrence, they are part of the game. They are part of the game, but it is what it is. But Liverpool have already agreed to a 6-year contract with the 25-year-old Swedish striker. They are set to sign for the Reds. Quickly, like I told you, the deal for McKay, that one still has question marks over it, as Crystal Palace are not being swayed into sanctioning a deal for McKay before they can guarantee that they get themselves a replacement. We're talking about a player who scored a brilliant goal against Aston Villa over on the weekend as Crystal Palace won that game by 3-0. Joan Felipe Mateta, the other on target from the penalty spot, while Ismail Sarr also scored to ensure that Crystal Palace walked away with 3 points and a clean sheet on the given day. I saw a clip posted, I think, by Crystal Palace with Jean-Philippe Mateta mocking McKay, saying, wow, what a goal. You've never even scored that kind of goal in training, you know. But anyways, let's wait and see. There's still a little bit of time in as far as we are concerned here. About 5 hours are still left to the transfer window, so that can be a bit of time. For as long as paperwork can be exchanged on time, then we can never say never. Then the other key news is that Manchester United have reached an agreement, a total agreement with Royal Antwerp to sign goalkeeper Senne Lammens. That's the 23-year-old Belgian goalkeeper from Royal Antwerp. The deal is worth 21 million euros plus add-ons. No future sell-on clause, but personal terms have already been agreed with the player on a 5-year contract. My understanding is that he's already on his way, if he hasn't already landed in Manchester to undergo his medicals and complete that move from Royal Antwerp to be the next Manchester United goalkeeper. Only 23 years of age. It's a huge gamble, as it is often the case with young goalkeepers. But in any case, I'm not one to carry too much pessimism. I'm one to carry optimism, having seen goalkeepers like Unai Simon at Athletic Bilbao, having seen goalkeepers like Thibaut Courtois coming up through the ranks during his loan spell at Atletico de Madrid, came to Chelsea, hacked it, went to Real Madrid, continued to hack it. I want to be optimistic, you know, having seen a goalkeeper like David De Gea Quintana coming from Athletic Bilbao to join Manchester United, and he was able to hack it. So we've seen James Trafford going from Manchester City Academy to Burnley, and then he's back at Manchester City. So far, he's been the #1 goalkeeper, and I believe the coming in of Gianluigi Donnarumma, we're going to discuss in a little bit, may change that stance, but at least he's very, very capable. It's not to say that young goalkeepers will not come with their mistakes. I mean, that, you know, limited experience is bound to, you know, showcase itself in a moment or two, or even more than just two, during the course of a very long season. But yeah, Manchester United seem to have dumped their interest in Emi Martinez. Remember, they had already agreed to personal terms with Emi Martinez informing Aston Villa that he would love to be let go and join Manchester United if a deal could be struck. But looks like Man United are the ones that have turned their head in a different direction. Now, once Manchester United agreed to personal terms with Emi Martinez or Dubi Martinez or Emiliano Martinez, the 32-year-old Argentine goalkeeper, Aston Villa had made the move to go and sign Senne Lammens. Well, Manchester United have won that day. Speaking of goalkeepers, like I said, but before we go to another goalkeeper, Aston Villa are in talks. In fact, they have agreed a deal with Manchester United for the transfer of Jadon Sancho. It is believed to be a season-long loan. Something very interesting has just happened in the transfer window in the last 1 hour, but I'm going to be letting you know about that in a bit. But like I said, Aston Villa have agreed a deal with Manchester United for the transfer of Jadon Sancho. It's believed to be a loan deal without an obligation to buy, according to reports. That deal is in place, and according to Fabrizio Romano, Jadon Sancho to Aston Villa is a here we go deal in place on an initial loan deal from Manchester United. Green light given for the player to travel for his medicals. Now, quickly speaking about goalkeepers, Manchester City have agreed a deal with a PSG for the transfer of Gianluigi Donnarumma. The 26-year-old Italian goalkeeper is subject to a medical this afternoon to go undergo his medical at Manchester City before completing that deal that is believed to be around 20 to 25 million euros for the Italian goalkeeper. While staying with Manchester City also have agreed a deal with Inter Milan for the transfer of Manuel Akanji. Yes, Manuel Akanji. That's the defender who has been subject to all sorts of speculation, linking him the potential move to teams like Crystal Palace, teams like Aston Villa, teams like AC Milan, teams like Roma. But Manuel Akanji from Manchester City to Inter Milan is an initial loan for which it will be 2 million euros as the loan fees. A buy option of 15 million euros, but buy clause becomes mandatory if Akanji plays at least 50% of the games, and if Inter win the Serie A this season. At least one of those conditions has to be met for that deal to be turned into an obligation to buy. Like I said, plenty of deals are happening, and they are happening quite thick and fast. Returning to Aston Villa, who have a deal in principle to sign Jadon Sancho. They've also agreed a verbal agreement with Liverpool in the last 1 hour to sign Harvey Elliott. The agreement in place with Liverpool is an initial loan with an obligation to buy for a guaranteed £35 million. That's for Harvey Elliott. Then Tottenham Hotspurs have been in negotiations with Paris Saint-Germain to sign Randal Kolo Muani. That's the 26-year-old. Is he 26 years of age, by the way? Around that. Maybe. But Randal Kolo Muani is destined for a move to Tottenham Hotspurs on a season-long loan that does not include an obligation to buy. Remember he spent the second part of last season at Juventus, who had wanted to keep him, but they couldn't reach to terms with Paris Saint-Germain, where he played 16 games, scored 8 goals, and provided 1 assist in the Italian Serie A last season. So he does get that loan move to Tottenham Hotspurs. Earlier on in the day, he was linked with a potential move to Arsenal. There was speculation that Arsenal could make a late offer for him, but it is Tottenham Hotspurs who have won that race to sign Randal Kolo Muani. Is expected to also undergo his medicals and join Thomas Frankie's side. It is believed that Tottenham Hotspurs will pay 5 million euros as the loan fees for that deal. Let's run to Newcastle, because Newcastle equally have a deal agreed for the transfer of the striker in Yoane Wissa. We know that Newcastle have been pushing to get this deal done ever since they lost out to Joao Pedro and the likes of Liam Delap. They've been really pushing to try and get that deal done. And today they did reach an agreement in principle they did reach an agreement on a deal in principle for the transfer of Yoane Wissa in a package of about £55 million for the 28-year-old Congolese international. Personally, I have my reservation on the transfer fee, not on the player, but £55 million for Yoane Wissa is quite a very high fee, but it's a deal that has been agreed between between Newcastle and Brentford to sign Yoane Wissa for £55 million. You will sign a 4-year contract with the Magpies. The guaranteed fees is £50 million plus £5 million in expected add-ons. Their most recent offer had been a total package of about £50 million, being 45 the guaranteed fees. But that deal is actually also getting over the line as the player does complete his medicals in Newcastle. Then Facundo Benanote did complete his medicals ahead of finishing that move from Brighton and Hove Albion to Chelsea on a season-long loan. Like I told you about McGahey, Liverpool are not increasing their offer of £35 million for McGahey. It's up to Steve Parish to decide whether it is enough to sign his captain or he will stick to his guns and retain the player. I mean, they could look to sell in January, or in January, given that he will only have less 6 months to his contract. He could choose to go to agree to a pre-contract, but he can only agree to a pre-contract with teams outside the Premier League. Then also, Fulham are set to sign Chelsea winger Tariq George for a fee of £22 million. George has agreed a 5-year contract. That's Tariq George. I mean, we're talking about a player who earlier on Chelsea was saying is not for sale. Aston Villa have unveiled the signing of Victor Lindelof on a 2-year contract as a free agent. They are having left Manchester City earlier on this summer. Then Brighton's Matt O'Reilly is set to join Olympique Marseille on a season-long loan. Olympique Marseille were also interested in signing Arsenal's Alexander Zinchenko, but it looks like they won't be able to get that deal over the line, although we're not ruling out anything totally until the final, until the transfer window is closed. Then Crystal Palace also retained interest in signing Conor Gallagher from Atletico de Madrid. That's another deal to watch on. Meanwhile, significant progress is being made on Nicholas Jackson's move to Bayern Munich. A fee is still yet to be agreed, but there's a formula. Will be on loan with an obligation to buy. That's according to Ben Jacobs. Remember, yesterday we had Chelsea writing to Bayern Munich, cancelling their initially agreed loan deal worth about €15 million plus an obligation to buy for €80 million. Total fees that I disagreed with, but it is what it is. Chelsea were trying to cancel that out because they needed a striker, having gotten bad news of Liam Delap's thigh injury that could keep him out of action for 6 to 8 weeks. Then they decided to recall Mark Bui from Sunderland. That's the striker that they had recently loaned over there. Now, in that process, what has since happened is they had told Bayern Munich that they will be open to a permanent transfer. I do not think Bayern Munich have the resources to get a permanent transfer done. Maybe at this stage, you never know. So negotiations continue as the player remains over there in Germany. So no medicals yet to be done as the player waits for green light from Chelsea for things to happen. Igor is expected to join Crystal Palace on a season-long loan. That's Brighton and Hove Albion's loan with West Ham. West Ham were also keen on him. Then Arsenal's Rich Nelson is set to join Brentford on a season-long loan. We are yet to find out what the particulars of that deal are in terms of loan fees, or whether there's an option or an obligation to buy. But at least he's on his way out. Then also, one of the other biggest news of the course of today has been the sacking of former Manchester United manager Erik ten Hag, which means 3 former Manchester United managers have been sacked in a space of 4 days. It all kicked off with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer being sacked at Besiktas. Then that was followed quickly the following day by Jose Mario Felix Mourinho being sacked at Fenerbahce, and now Erik ten Hag has equally been sacked at Bayer Leverkusen. Personally, I believe maybe they may feel they've done the right decision, but for me, if they believe they have done the right decision at this stage, with after only 2 games played in the German Bundesliga, then that means they made the wrong decision in hiring him, because they cannot have it either way. If they have made the wrong decision right now, it's because they had made the right decision in hiring in the first place. So my feeling is that, it's too early. 2 games only into the season, and the manager is already fired. A manager who is basically has been having to rebuild his team. And you see, this is the challenging bit usually when teams are signing players. Are you signing players because the manager needs them? Are you signing the players because they fit what the team plays overall? Because What that means is that regardless of who the manager is, you can still play with those players, given the kind of context, depending on what style of football you play or what you do believe in as a club. So in this particular case, we are talking about the manager who walks into the door, and Bayer Leverkusen have lost Jonathan Tah, have lost Jeremy Frimpong, Jonathan Tah going to Bayern Munich, Jeremy Frimpong off to Liverpool, Florian Wirtz off to Liverpool, Brian Xhaka then eventually leaves for Sunderland. You've lost your number one goalkeeper and signed Mark Flaken. Then you bring in the likes of Joel Quaisha, among very many others from Liverpool. But also, there's another player. Yes, Pierre Hincapié, leaving to join Arsenal. So I mean, those were all starters at Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen. Now suddenly, they want a manager that is going to get the ground running from the offset. Why? Because Xabi Alonso showed them it is possible to be done when he joined them in October 2022. I think when they were 2 places from relegation or from the bottom, and they managed to finish 6th on that German Bundesliga table. Then Fiorentina have confirmed Tariq Lamptey has joined from Brighton, as revealed, on a £6 million deal. Tariq Lamptey. That deal is done. Cardiff confirmed Omari Kellyman has joined on loan. Cardiff City have confirmed the signing of Omari Kellyman from Chelsea on a season-long loan deal. Then Bournemouth have confirmed the signing of Alex Gimenez has joined from Milan. The loan it's a loan deal with an obligation to buy for about 19 million euros, triggered if the Gimenez starts at least 50% of the games this season. So then Arsenal's Fabio Vieira is set to join Hamburger SV on a season-long loan with a buy option that is believed to be worth about 20 million euros. I do not know what the loan fee is, but he does get to join fellow teammate Albert Sambelo Konga, who has already joined Hamburger on a permanent deal there this summer. Hi JB, hi Jeff, FTBL, how are you? How are you, my brother? How have you been? It's been a minute since I've seen you around. How has been the going? What have you been up to? We are trying to, summarize everything to do with transfers, as today is the deadline day. So many deals happening. Now, good. I need to go now. Already? Wow. Okay. Have yourself a blessed evening. McGahey's £35 million move to Liverpool from Crystal Palace is understood to be imminent. Bye bye to you, Jeff, FTBL. I hope perhaps next time you will afford us more time, as has always been the case previously. So, but McGahey's £35 million move to Liverpool from Crystal Palace is understood to be imminent. Permission granted to undergo medical. That's according to Ben Jacobs, coming in as of this minute. So, like I said, it was always going to be a revolving situation. Anything could shift in whatever direction. Perhaps now that Crystal Palace, for Crystal Palace, it's the smart thing to do. It's not the ideal thing to do, but it's the smart thing to do. I do understand why they couldn't to make it. Why? Because why should you risk to lose the player for free when you can't get £35 million for him? That £35 million is enough to secure you a replacement for a defender. Or maybe if it's not enough, the addition to that would be very, very, maybe another £5 million to secure another top defender, as opposed to, you having to look into your own bank to sign, a defender. But I think they must have gotten an agreement somewhere to replace him. Then we talked about Anthony. Anthony has been granted permission to travel to Sevilla to undergo his medical and complete a move to undergo medical ahead of completing that move to Real Betis after Real Betis did reach an agreement with Manchester United for the transfer of the 25-year-old Brazilian international in a deal worth £21.7 million. There, with a future 50% sell-on clause there. Then Bayern Munich and Chelsea seal a new agreement for Nicholas Jackson. This is just coming in as a bit of breaking news for Nicholas Jackson deal, a loan plus buy clause with a new element of obligation to buy included in the deal for 2026. As Chelsea wanted, Jackson already agreed to a 5-year contract with Bayern Munich, 15 million euro loan fee, which I believe for me is quite too high, 15 million euros. JF says, sorry, I need to study, eat, go to practice, and get my football boots. Sorry, I love your content. Bye-bye. Thank you so much, JF. I wish you the best of luck in your training. I wish you the best of luck in your studies and everything that you may put your hands and legs onto. I wish you the best of luck. And yeah, that's all I could say. Then Malin Rohi to Everton is a done deal. That's according to Florian Plettenberg. He's joining in from Freiburg. It's a loan with an obligation to buy for about 25 million euros. I hope these deals are being structured the right way, because an obligation today is being interpreted as a permanent signing under the same transfer window. I mean, why are clubs being robbed left, right, and center? I mean, I was reflecting while we are running through this. I've been reflecting on that deal, Fulham signing Tariq George for a 19-year-old for 22 million pounds, and I'm thinking to myself, 22 million pounds, a player that is yet to be proven really? I mean, he only featured for Chelsea predominantly in the Conference League, and while he looked good, I mean, he's not outstanding. He's not outstanding. He's another good player. So for Chelsea to get 22 million pounds for him plus his future sell-on clause, because according to David Austin of The Athletic, he says Fulham strike an agreement with Chelsea to sign Tariq George. Deal for 19-year-old is worth 22 million pounds package plus sell-on clause. Personal terms in place for a 5-year contract for the England Youth International. Permission given from Chelsea, given Chelsea to do his Fulham medical there. So everybody is wondering, and yet how could they could not pay 15 million pounds for Reece Nelson, but then suddenly they can afford 22 for Tariq George? I mean, we know that Crystal Palace were bidding 15 million pounds for Arsenal's Reece Nelson. I mean, with Reece Nelson, we know what he's capable of. His only downside is his injury record. Not too good. But even for a 19-year-old, there's no guarantees that his career can not take a similar turn. Meanwhile, Bournemouth's Antoine Semenyo has arrived in Ghana ahead of the 2026 World Cup qualifiers. Remember, he was summoned to the national team over there. So that's also on the move or happening. Remember, we're going into the international break. Let's not forget that. We're going into the international break. It's going to be almost 2 weeks. It's going to be almost. We know the drill. We know the drill. Our football will come back after. Will come back on 13th and 14th of September, that weekend. So that's the expectation in that regard. So, I mean, what have we not covered in as far as transfers are concerned? In as far as transfers are concerned, that's some of the major stories that are happening. Those are some of the deals happening as we speak in regards to the latest from the world of transfers from some of your favorite teams. We've spoken about Nicholas Jackson completing that deal to Bayern Munich, on a season-long loan. We've discussed. Then some sources say Alexander Zinchenko is not expected to be leaving Arsenal. The left back has been in talks with multiple clubs in this window, most recently Marseille, but a move by a shock turnaround is not expected at the moment. Anyways, what else? What else? What else? There's plenty of this happening. There's there's plenty of this happening, but we just need to, keep tabs on each and everything as it develops, as it happens. We'll discuss Yoane Wissa, we'll discuss Rwando Kolomwani, Mark Kehi. I've given you the very latest that Crystal Palace have sanctioned that move, and that means that Liverpool could then sanction a move for Joe Gomez from Liverpool to AC Milan. So keep your eyes peeled to that. Harvey Elliott is destined for move to Aston Villa. Then Facundo Benanote is headed to Chelsea on a seasonal loan. Senne Lammens is joining Manchester United as a new goalkeeper. So plenty of things happening in as far as the transfer window is concerned. I will discuss the sacking of Erik ten Hag. That one is equally, done. That one is already done. Anthony, we'll discuss Anthony of Manchester United. We'll discuss Garnacho. Naif Agat is close to joining Marseille for around £17 million. Graham Potter wanted to keep him. However, understand Agat refused to play for West Ham against Nottingham Forest on Sunday. West Ham have Charlie Cresswell on their radar as a replacement. So that one is also, in the works or in the happenings. What else? So many transfer deals. Okay. As trying to see if there is a development on a certain story regarding one of the players that and Chelsea are not interested in signing Santiago Gimenez, despite reports. Also, Liverpool, like I've told you, are getting McKay. I mean, that's quite a whole team of incomings for Liverpool. Florian Wirtz, FTK, Alexander Isak, Kakes, Jeremy Frimpong, McKay, the goalkeeper, Diogi Mamadashvili. There's another goalkeeper that comes in from Woodman from Preston North End. Then they had another youngster that was signed. I mean, good number of many signings for Liverpool. While my prediction is that Arsenal will win the Premier League title, I did acknowledge that they remain favourites, given that they are the defending champions, really. So we'll wait and see. Then Brentford have just turned down an approach for Olympic Lyon to sign Fabio Carvalho. Request was for a loan deal. Excuse me. Then Victor Lindelof has joined Manchester United. Victor Lindelof has joined Aston Villa for Manchester United. Remember, he was let go at Manchester United at the end of his contract, so he's joined Aston Villa as a free agent on a 2-year deal with an option to extend for a further year. Then Manchester United have informed Kobe Mainoo that there is zero chance that he gets to leave today. Remember, he had requested to leave Manchester United on at least a loan deal to go and continue his development from elsewhere. And Napoli were one of those teams that were really interested in taking Kobe Mainoo. But looks like it won't be happening. it won't be happening. Otherwise, thank you so much, LFC. Thank you so much, JF, FTBL. Thank you so much for all of you that tuned into this broadcast, this late evening slash this early evening, actually, not late evening. Thank you so much for all of you that tuned in. Let's engage later tonight and discuss what more there will be as transfers. Actually, by the time we get on our broadcast, the transfer window will have officially closed, and we will be doing a wrap up to the window as well. Stay blessed for now and have yourselves a wonderful rest of the evening. Bye bye for now.